So, welcome everyone. I'm not sure if you have seen the prerequisite message. I'm sure if you haven't, make sure if you want to follow along, you have Python installed on your laptops and you have a Zyte API account because it'll be helpful if you're following along. And I'll just quickly give you a walkthrough of what we're gonna do here. I'll do a quick introduction to Zyte API basically, and I'm using cursor ID, which will not get into details right now. But yeah, we will understand what Zyte API capabilities are, what are its key features. We'll do a basic run through of the screen, and we will just quickly showcase you what you can do. And a quick example would be just running a basic request. And may I know in the chat how many of you have access to the GitHub repository? You can just clone that repository in your system and in whatever ID you prefer, and have this basic code set up. So while I'm explaining, you will be able to appreciate it, and able to see the results for yourself in your terminal. Um, so yeah, I'll just quickly cover the basics of Zyte API, and then we will get into the advanced features as this session is dedicated to that, which is network captures, how to handle pagination, how to submit form using Zyte API, beyond the basics, right? And yeah, if you have any other expectations, any other questions, you can let me know in the chat. I can quickly get into Zyte API. So once you log in Zyte API, you will see your stats here, and there's a playground here. You can just put in your whatever URL you want to scrape. I'm majorly using course2scrape.com to showcase the Zyte API features. You can just put in your URL. It will showcase the tier, which tier the website is. We have 5 tiers based on the complexity, and obviously based on the complexity, the cost will also increase. So I'll just run a simple HTML request here, and you can see here the data will appear, and the cost will appear, the response time, and the API response time. And you can play around with it. Zyte API have this AI powered extraction from you have product clicks, product navigation, articles, jobs, SERP. So you don't have to write any selectors basically. And I'm going to show you in the code right away. And you don't have to use additional browser automation tool with Zyte API, and you can just if your website, the website that you are scraping, the target website, needs JavaScript to load the content, so you can just set the browser HTML to true, and it will have the browser automation, have the browser functionalities, automation functionalities like Selenium, Puppeteer, or Playwright, and there you'll have your response. So you don't have to use any additional tool for that. And of course, the last and the biggest advantage is you don't have to. So Zyte API automatically takes care of your proxy rotation behind the scenes, and also manages captchas and anti-bans for you. So you don't have to worry about all of these basic infra setup behind the scenes. You can just focus on the request and the structure of the website, and I will not worry about the structure of the website because of the AI extraction, and just get straight into requesting the website and get the data. So yeah, that's the playground. You can play around with requests, and once you set up, I think I forgot. Lakshya, can you share the Zyte API sign up link? If you haven't already, you can sign it up. There's no credit sign up process. You will get $5 credit to play around. So I would just strongly recommend, if you want to go ahead deeper into the main features of Zyte API beyond like these bigger, powerful, all-in-one API. So make sure you sign up and just play around and see, and have your questions ready if you have any in the end. We'll take it up. And even in between, like this session is more of like not just like a monologue, but I want the questions coming in so that I can answer on the fly. So let's get into it. And under API access, you will have your API key, which we will constantly use in the code. So yeah, I think that's like a quick intro, and we will just jump straight into the code. So yes, as I mentioned, I have I'm using this cursor ID, which is very similar to VS Code. So I think you might be familiar with all of these things. And I've commented like a couple of lines here, just to showcase how to set up a basic scraper using Zyte API. And before I get into this, I have written like a check setup. So once you do a git clone, make sure you run. Sorry, I can walk you through that process as well. Yeah, make sure you run these commands like pip install requirements.txt. It will install all the packages required to run these scripts. And also make sure like you add your Zyte API key. As I just mentioned here, like you can have your Zyte API key under API access, and set it under .env file, and run this run this script. So I've written this script check setup, which will basically check everything. You have all the packages required are installed, and the Zyte API key is configured. So the setup is complete. It will showcase a message like this. So give me a thumbs up if you are following along. I would be able to better connect with you guys. Anyone? Like, are you guys following along? Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, just run this check setup file to just understand if you have the pages at the basic setup ready. Now the basic extraction, what you can do is like what I'm doing here is basically like just loading the Zyte API key, and this is the Zyte API endpoint. And the whole point is to just use the request um, to just make the API call with Zyte API key and Zyte API endpoint, and then there is like this payload with every request. So payload is where all the parameters basically go. So here the URL that you want to scrape goes. So if you want basically like to enable the browser automation, you just have to set this parameter to true, and you know what, and like you don't have to use any additional tools like Selenium, Puppeteer, or Playwright to get through the websites that are dynamically loaded. Yeah, and for just normal HTTP response body, and where your website doesn't need any dynamic loading, you can just simply request by setting this parameter to true, HTTP response body to true. And for all the AI extraction that I just mentioned, you just give the URL. For example, you just give the category URL to this request, and just set the product. Just set product to true. Sorry, for a product list to true for the category page. It will fetch all the products for you. Let me just give you a quick example. Maybe I'll take this Nike.com, and yeah, it will load all the if you can see all the shoes under this category. These are all men's running shoes, and I just give the URL here, as men URL, men's running shoes, Nike URL here. You can actually play around right now with whatever category URL website that you know of, any e-commerce website. You can just set the product list to true and browser HTML to true. So for AI extraction, for using AI extraction, you make sure that you have browser HTML set to true as well. I don't think it will work with just with HTTP response body to true. And between HTTP response body to true or browser HTML to true, you can only set one, right? At one point. At one point. So let's just quickly run this and see the results. Yeah. Any questions so far? And while it's running, so similarly you can try and test it out on any article. Just set the article to true and it will fetch all of the all the details and like the content of that article. And similarly with the article where there are a lot of listings of articles, you can just set this parameter to true. As you can see, like we got some results here. We got like a lot of products. This is just to showcase you, and we'll get into more details. And like I can just like quickly follow this link and show you that's actually loading the products. Yeah, and this is basically like following a particular schema, and you can go through this schema like on the Zyte API reference doc. I don't want to get into too much details there. But yeah, I've actually written a few comments here, basically just to give you additional information when to use what and what this feature is about. But yeah, so yeah, this is basically the overall foundational structure of how Zyte API works. You don't need any browser automation tool because you can just set that true with this parameter. You don't have to write any CSS selectors or any XPath selectors because it works. It has AI extraction features behind the scenes, so you can just set them true and you can get going. So yeah, these are also one of the reasons that you don't need Selenium API along with that API is because it also enables you to perform actions. So actions are basically anything that you would do with so anything a user would perform basically, and you would want yours to do it. Like if I'm here on this page, I want to click on this product and see all of things. So you can do all of that using actions. I've given an example of scroll to bottom action here. You can see a whole list of what all actions are available in the API in this README file. I've listed out links here for your reference. I think you can find these browser actions here. The scroll to bottom action is basically similar to this, like on Nike website, like as you keep scrolling down, it keeps loading more products. And if you set scroll to bottom to true, it will just keep extracting all the products till it loads. You don't have to write any additional code or write any, I know usually like there is an API behind the scenes, and it will just work for you. And I'm going to showcase everything in detail, but that's like the basic structure. And shall we get into network captures? Like, do you have this is yeah I think like we can just pause for a minute here, and like we can take up a question, and then we can get into more details around on like more detailed features. Like we can get into network features and pagination. Rizani, you can find the code on the GitHub repository. I think I shared that. Yeah, like here it is. Yeah, thanks, Lakshay. And if there is any other question, like I can take it up. Okay. I think we're good so far. Uh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. So that was kind of like the basic setup of Zyte API. Now I'll get straight into uh, the main, like the not the main actually, like the advanced features that we have set up the session for, which is like a network which is like network captures, pagination, and form submission. So we'll get into what network capture is, right, and why it is useful. And I'm not sure. Like I think like this is the file you will not find on GitHub right now because I wrote it very recently, and I'm gonna like update that repository soon after this session, so you can have access to all the resources. So you don't need to worry. And for the questions, like we can keep this conversation going on. This is the first session. I'm gonna repeat it again. I'm sorry. I'll get into the details, but yeah, like Lakshay, you can share the link to the forum that we have in the Discord. So we want to keep doing these training sessions with you guys on and very regularly now. So this is the first one. So we started from very basic. And you don't have to worry about like any other questions. We're already there. Like we have moderators who can guide you. We can keep the conversation going down there. So yeah, so that's the whole point. Now we can get into the network features. Okay. So basically, in short, I'll show you. If you go on any website and just like inspect any product, right? Like just inspect this. And mostly when you're doing scroll, right? Like you know that there is like an API running behind the scenes. Most of the times when you're scrolling to the bottom, it's the API that's running behind the scenes. And what is happening is I'm going to show here. Um, and like it, and they have to go through this manually. And the most easiest way is like to just pick one product. Like I'll pick this. Um, sorry, I'll do this. I'll clean this, reload the page, and yeah, I'll make a search here. So what developers usually do is like I'll just use this and I can just say Nike and double quotes. I'll put so that I can find the exact match. Nike Swift. Right. So I see like, okay, so now I click on these and I know, okay, so this is in showcase here. Yeah. So I know, okay, this is the, if you look at the header, so you'll know that this is the API that is being called behind the scenes, and that's what it is. That's what is loading the products. And now what developers usually do is like they copy this URL as curl. You can use that. There is like there is an extension actually like curl to scrapey, something like that. Mostly developers use that, and get it. While this is like super easy to find in Nike, it could be a chance like you have to go through all of these things manually when you have like imagine having to do this for 100 sites, right? uh, So in those scenarios, like one side is fine, like I can do all of this manual work and go behind the scenes and like spend like couple of minutes here understanding how the products are being loaded, what API call is being made, what does the response look like, so I can write the code accordingly. What network capture feature helps you with is basically this network capture feature. You can enable it in the payload, just like any other parameter. And what it has is like you can set a filter type, right? Filter type, which is like URL. You can set the HTTP response body to true value, which is a filter pattern, and match type contains. So you can read about more on how you can set it up network capture feature. So basically, what it is doing in the background is it's finding, so it's basically going through all of these requests for you and finding the exact API that you're looking for, the exact API call you're looking for, get everything, its headers, payload, response, right? It fetch all of those things, and you have everything in hand, in captures, right? You can just like send the request with this. So here I'm using the filter pattern um, um, slash API, if you can see here. And are you able to see my screen? I can just like do it bigger. So yeah, so here's the filter pattern I'm doing. This is the code I've written for code2scripts.com/scroll. I think this is the one, yeah. So this is the demo website for showcasing scrolling, and I've written the code for how you can, you know, how you can pull out that API here. I can show you. Yeah, if you go under networks tab, so yeah, um, so yeah, it can like, so it's just like finding this API page. So it has all the codes, and it just matches this filter pattern that I've given here, and it will get you all the headers and response and payload, and you have it in here. And this is how you can get the network capture in your code, and you just like process that network capture after. And I've written this function called process captures, and basically it's just like decoding the HTTP response, and like creating a JSON out of it. And like here I've just written the JSON paths to the content that I care about, like I want to extract, and that's it. And here, like, there's a code to save. Here's a code. Here's the function that I have written to method. Sorry, to save it to JSON, and that's it. You don't have to go through all of this manual guesswork to get to the API that you're looking for. This network capture feature like does it all for you on that front. You just have to give the right filter probably, and yeah, and you just have to get that. And I'm gonna just quickly showcase how the results look like. Um, yeah, yeah. Any questions on network captures while it's running? Okay. We have the course, and I'm saving the responses under the responses folder by default. So you can see here. Yeah, it's see under the captures, it's fetching all the codes that we want with the timestamp and whatever extra um, parameters, metadata that you want to add to your data set. So it's super simple. You can take a look and try. Majorly, yeah. Yeah, and also I have written this small doc and .md file, which will like talk to you about in detail like what is network capture feature and why network capture feature matter. You can go through it, but basically this is the whole point of this feature. If you have any questions. So yeah, Constantine have a question. Will network capture start only after the action is executed or from the start of the page? So it depends. Like on Nike website, I'll show you. So I've written the code for the Nike website also. Like that's in the that's in the exercise. But yeah, I'll just quickly show you what's happening on Nike. Um, so yeah, I think so. Basically, when you're loading this page, you don't need an API call for the first one, and as you're scrolling to bottom, as you're scrolling down, the API is being called, right? And the first page is loaded through the HTML, basic HTML. So what I've done is in the so under exercises, I've actually created the Nike code. Properly how to use network capture feature for Nike website. Basically, I'm like actually running the action first, and I've written the code as such like okay, the first response is being captured through HTML, and after the first page, basically, so from there the payload starts. The action is happening first, and then the network capture. So basically, like just for the audience sake, the payload is structured like on how you would go about like actions on this Nike website. Like think of it as the sequence of actions you will take when you visit Nike to get the product. So it goes in that pattern basically. It follows that pattern similarly. So actions are sequential. So first I'm performing scroll to bottom action, and then I'm using the network capture to capture the API responses. I hope that answers the question. Like for websites like codes to scrape, you can just have that loaded from the beginning, from the start of the page. So I'm not using any network and any action for the codes to scrape scroll here, because from the beginning the products are being uh, loaded through API here. Yeah, yeah. Any other questions? Can we move on to the pagination? I think I'll move on to the pagination. So pagination is classic, okay? So I'll not showcase right now Nike, but yeah, I think so most of the pages like in how do you perform classic pagination is basically you just find the next button or the next URL. Usually it looks like this. On like coast2scrape.com, it's like it has like page 2, and you just like loop over the pages like once you have the URL set. uh, so yeah, I'm setting I'm getting straight into the create in the creation of the payload. Basically you just have the current URL, and every time you're going onto the next page, you basically increment, you loop over, right, and create the next URL. So if there is like an href, like we just saw that there is a next page, if there is there is a reference to the next page, you basically increment and fetch the current URL, and it loops over as long as the pages continue. And um, and you set the browser HTML to true, and actions as like wait for selector. So this is basically to make sure that when you're before the response is being taken, the entire page is loaded. Or basically like that element is loaded when what you want to scrape. In this case, like we want the this can like see I can sorry um, yeah. So we want this, we want all of those elements to load first, and then we take the response. So this action is to basically show like how a user would go on a page and wait for the quotes to load before they can read it. So basically, similarly, we are performing an action here, and that's like the classic pagination, right? Uh, and uh, I'm just fetching the results. After that, like, and that's it. Like that's it. Like the starting URL is page one, of course, and I'm gonna quickly showcase. I've actually uh, showcasing how it is performing. Like it's going on first page, found 10 codes, and then it is moving to the second page and found another 10 codes, and yeah. And as of now, like I'm like just I think doing the 3 pages, you can loop over as long as you want. I mean, as long as the pages are basically this is just a showcase in this demo. And you can find all the codes here. You can see here in the metadata, like we have found 30 codes from 3 pages, and with the timestamp, and you can, yeah. And that's it. That's all the pagination is, the classic one, right? And the next question, if you have any questions, let me know. And the next one is the infinite scroll. Basically, like usually either pagination happens through these buttons, like the next button, or 1 2 3 pages, things like that. Like if you see indeed.com, you'll okay, just do a Google search on Indeed and quickly show you. Okay, I need to log in. Anyways, basically, yeah. So either like you can, like, the classic way to approach is like find the next button or the 1 2 3 pages and create the URL, loop it over as long as the pages have. And usually, as I mentioned, like in Nike, and there are other websites as well, like let's just say in social media, I would call, I don't want to take names here, but like mostly social medias have this scroll bottom and then the content loads. And Zyte API has this really cool feature where you can just in the payload, as I've seen you, like this is yeah, you don't need this. Yeah, you can just set the browser HTML to true, and just have in the actions as action scroll bottom. So this action will make sure that like the page is loaded, and it will automatically keep scrolling down and load the entire content and fetch the data for you. You don't have to do anything. So that's a really, really cool feature. And you can also mention maximum scroll count, and there are other set of parameters with these actions that you can set. There's a pixel, and there are other things, and I've added all of that in the README. Yeah, I have added all of those links here in the reference for you. So yeah, I mean, just like add scroll to bottom, and we'll see. I'll quickly showcase on the codes to scrape.com how it is performing itself. I think, yeah, let me just quickly run that. Nation infinite, and it's starting the infinite scroll. Yeah, it's done. You can see the results here. About 30 codes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's max. Right. Yeah. You can add like maximum scroll and see how the results differ. Any questions as of now? Okay, it's done. This is done. Yeah, see, with maximum scrolls has 20, like it's able to scroll like about 100 quotes. So you can play around with this feature and see what's working and how it's working for you. It's kind of different for different websites. You might have to set like certain parameters alongside action this action. So yeah, I think it's just super simple. I want to showcase that. The next feature we wanted to cover in this session is form submission. Uh, Basically, form submission is something like this, like how would you handle form? Usually like developers go through setting up like using Selenium or like other browser automation tools to mimic a user behavior. So the alternate, as I told you, in the Zyte API is two actions. And in this basically code, I'm going to show you how you can manually, how you can through Zyte API can select maybe an author or some tag and search and extract these results, right? So what I'm doing here is, again, like, so as I mentioned, right, like you just have to see this actions as how I went onto this postgresql.com search.px website, and how I approached it. Basically, you use so basically actions are sequential, right? How a human would perform. You have to make sure that the sequence is correct when you're like setting them up. So I use action select and the selector. You can find the selector for this one again by inspecting. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the name author uh, and ID author. So I'm writing the selector for this, and the value as author. You've just seen that, the ID author and the value author, and then we'll wait for this element to load, and then uh, you know add the tag, right? We'll wait for this. We'll wait for this with this to happen. We'll wait for when I click on the drop down. I'll wait for it to load, and then and for that I've written this here, like wait for that selector with this value and with this state, and then I would select that. I would select something like inspirational life, and this is the third step, and then I'll perform the click action and do the search, and then I'll again wait for that code to load. So this is what is happening on this page, step by step, right? I'm gonna repeat it again. Like this is like I go to the author, select the author, then wait for the inspiration to load, the drop down to load, then select that tag and click the search button, and then like wait for that code to come. So this is it basically. This is how you can perform actions and substitute everything without using any external browser automation tool. So, and I can like set the browser HTML to true as usual, the URL, and that's it. My payload is ready. And if you see this function, the main function, I've written here pre-loaded searches that I want to do. And I'm going to showcase, like, so basically I'm selecting the author. Like I want to search the quotes for Albert Einstein with the tag as world, author Jane Austen and tagged as love, and author J.K. Rowling tagged as abilities. So let's see what it gets me. This is for, I'm gonna run it. So yeah, we can see the results here. So apparently there were no quotes for the combination I was selecting. I can quickly show you. So we just got it for J.K. Rowling and abilities. There is just one quote. I can show you here. J.K. Rowling and abilities. Search. There's just one quote. It's our choices, Harry, that showed that we that what we truly are far more than our capabilities, right? And that's the quote we have gotten here. And apparently for uh, for other combinations, Jane Austen love, like I think we don't have any such quote, so maybe it's not able to fetch. That's why. Oh, there are two quotes. Maybe there's some bug here. Um, okay, check working before. But anyways, like you got the point. I think I can debug it basically. Like, yeah. So yeah, this is basically like a cool feature in Cursor. Like you can actually chat with AI and get your code done, get your debugging done. You can push this code to Git, like a lot of other things. I've been using Cursor very lately, so I'm quite fond of this tool. We do have a session on it, by the way, like, but basically that's majorly it. I just want to showcase these features, and what I've done is I've created like small exercises for you to practice on your website. And I would recommend you to just go back and like use these features on the websites that you work on regularly and see how you can implement and like what you get, how easy it was. You can compare your current approaches to those websites with your setup, your tools, your architecture, and compare it with Zyte API. That's the whole point, and keep the conversation going. So I've done this like for Nike. As I mentioned, like I've showcased like the network capture feature that's done. And you can also basically for Nike, for a website like Nike, I have showcased like how you do the network capture yourself like on this website, but sometimes that's not like the best way to go about it. You can actually bypass all of that and like create that API URL, base URL with everything yourself and use basic, the basic extraction code with Zyte API and actually, put the URL as the API the API URL the Nike is using and get the result. So I think I would recommend that over using network capture, but this is just for the practicing, and I would recommend like you to practice these features on your target websites. And there's also a proxy mode uh, which basically you can bypass all of these things, and sometimes when things are super hard you can just like call the proxy API and get this get the ball rolling. I've written the code for this also, you can go through it. Yeah, there's an infinite scroll exercise, pagination exercise, and the form submission exercise. Basically, like how I've written the exercise task here. So this is for you to just practice, and some of the solutions are here. And I'm also comparing, okay, so which one is working effectively, either if it is the infinite scroll or the API. I've written a script for that. We just run it, try to see it for yourself, how it is working. And we'll see you in the next class with all the questions on these, and we will debug. And so basically it's a challenge for you to bring your own websites, and we will rerun these features on your websites, take your questions, and see how the ITPA is performing. And just for the sake of simplicity and the pictorial just view of how this repository looks like, I've created this system architecture.md file, and you can see how things are working here, how the data is flowing, how the error handling is happening. I've just created this so you can just see for yourself. This is a mermaid diagram of how things flow in this repository and in the code. Yeah, and yeah, this is test examples.py is basically a file which runs all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like scripts in this folder, and see if they're working or not. So just a quick test. And yeah, I think I'm happy to take up questions now.